Hi guys, welcome to Sunya IAS. In this class, we are resuming the one-shot series for the NCERT. In today's session, I'll discuss the last part of Delhi Sultanate with you and also the part of Bahmani Kingdom and Vijayanagar Empire. So everything will be covered today. So let me just start with the initial phases of medieval Indian history. As you know, we have just started the medieval India. So we need to understand that what was happening in the North India. And in the last class, I was talking about three important invaders who came to India, and starting from the Sindh, how they got the area of Peshawar, then Punjab, then Delhi. That's what we need to understand here. So in the last class, we were talking about Mahmud, but there was some sound issue and that's why I had to end the session. But now I'll resume it from there only, and we will continue the discussion on the Muhammad Ghori and Mahmud, of course, and we'll see how the North India got devastated. So let's understand the Rajput resistance also and why it was happening. So I was talking about this entire empire of Mahmud, who is also known as the hero of Islam, and he had a great empire. This big empire of Mahmud was there, the Mahmud of Ghazni. So when he came to India, he had to fight a war with the king of Peshawar, and then he got a victory also. So if you remember, we discussed that how he raided India so many times, right? So many times, like more than 17 times he raided India. So what we discussed in the last class, that Mahmud, he made 17 raids in the India. And in North India at that time, when his invasions were happening, it was completely divided into number of Hindu states, especially the Rajput kingdoms. But all those Rajput rulers, they were very, very brave, but they could not have a supporting assistance for each other. And they never joined each other against a common enemy. Yes, they did it during the rule of Prithviraj Chauhan, but it was just for a short period of time. When we talk about the campaigns of Ghazni, we covered that his initial raids were against the Hindu Shahi kingdom, and it extended till the part of Punjab and Kabul also. So here the king Jaipal was killed, and then his son Anandpal wanted to take a revenge, but he was also killed. Okay, so both father and son got defeated, and the Peshawar was captured by Mahmud. After this capture, he will extend his conquest to the Punjab, and then he will capture the Punjab also. That's why you can see in the map that he had the control over Iran also. He had the control on Lahore and in Delhi. Okay. But after this, Mahmud, when he was doing all these things, he could not get a heavy level of extension in the North India. First of all, see, of course, we had the Rajput rulers, and we know that the resistance was still going on. So in 1011, he raided the Nagarkot in the Punjab hills, then Thaneshwar, which was the capital of Harshvardhan, if you remember. And in 1018, Mahmud plundered the Mathura and also attacked the Kannauj. He destroyed all the temples here, even the areas in the Mathura associated with the Krishna Janmabhoomi. And then his next important and last campaign was against Gujarat, where he, sacked the Somnath area and the Somnath temple, but ultimately he died in 1030 AD. So here in his place, new rulers will come, and ultimately who will win? Muhammad Ghori will win. Okay, and then Muhammad Ghori will try to follow his master and ancestors and will try to come and reach India. But when we talk about the results of the victories and the extension of Mahmud, he started opening a way. A new door was there, a new way, so that other rulers could use it in the future. So he paved the way for the Turks and Afghans for the further conquest in India. So we had different type of Islamic rulers coming in India. Okay, we had Umayyads also. We had some coming from the Arabs. We had the Turki rulers also, and we had the Afghani rulers also. They all were Islamic rulers. That's why you will see different types of Muslims in India today. Okay, some of them are indigenous Muslims. Okay, who were there in the India only, and they got converted. There were Afghani Muslims, we had Turki Muslims, we had Irani Muslims also. And they all used to follow the system like the caste system in India. They never used to get married, among themselves. And always there used to be the competition and fight to grow. So here, when we talk about these Muslim rulers, due to this invasion by the Mahmud, we had to lose a lot of manpower in India, and so many soldiers died due to his repeated raids. When we talk about the Mahmud Empire, it was a big, vast empire from the Punjab in the east to the Caspian Sea on the west and the Samarkand area in the north to Gujarat in the south. So he had a great area in India, and the Ghaznavid Empire included Persia, Transoxiana, Afghanistan and Punjab, as we have seen in the map. Here you can see this is the entire area of Mahmud, and he had the part of Punjab, Lahore, Transoxiana, Iranian plateau. This entire zone was covered by his conquest, and he was doing it in a very right sense. If we talk about the Islamic extension, it is always seen as a great victory when we talk about Mahmud. Here you don't need to read it and study it with any of the religious perspective. Just try to understand his leadership quality. We don't want to glorify any kind of ruler or any religion here, but try to understand that what kind of mistakes were there in the Indian kingdoms and the Indian rulers, that they could not extend their empire. They never used to follow the attacking approach. They were always defensive in nature, that if the attack will happen, then only we will prepare for the war. Okay. So no prior preparation, no prior planning, and no, strengthful guidance was there. Of course, there was no central administration also. So now when we talk about this Mahmud Empire, he had a big Ghaznavid Empire, and he also gave patronage to great scholars in his court, like Firdausi, who was the author of Shahnama, and Al-Biruni, who wrote the famous book Kitab-e-Hind, which is an account on India. This is a very important example which you should remember. However, it's very small and easy, so that they will not ask it directly in the prelims, as it is too basic. But you should know the basics, and very rightly you should remember Kitab-e-Hind, written by Al-Biruni. So now after these scholars, basically when he died, the next new ruler came in this area was Muhammad Ghori. So don't get confused here, because we have three important rulers. We started from the Muhammad bin Qasim, and then we discussed the part of Mahmud, and now we are talking about Muhammad Ghori. So in the last class, I remember I was making this flow chart for you to make you understand the entire concept, and there only we lost the sound in the class. So now let me just make it again. So I discussed three rulers. The first was Muhammad bin Qasim, and he got the area of Sindh when in 712 AD by killing the ruler of Sindh, Dahir. Dahir was killed. Okay, Dahir was the ruler here who was killed. Okay, and he got associated initially, later he was killed, and later, this entire zone of Sindh came in the part of Muhammad bin Qasim. He was the first Muslim invader who got successful victory on the area of Sindh, over the Sindh, but he could not penetrate. Why? Because we had a powerful Gurjar Pratihara kingdom in the west. And then the second ruler came Mahmud of Ghazni, which we have just covered, the hero of Islam. So Mahmud of Ghazni, who had the Ghaznavid Empire, he captured Peshawar. Okay, Peshawar, after killing Anandpal. Remember Anandpal, son of Jaipal. So Jaipal and Anandpal were killed. Fine. When? In 1001 AD. In 1001 AD, he killed Jaipal, and then 1008 he killed Anandpal and conquered the entire area of Peshawar and the Punjab also. Then the next ruler is Muhammad Ghori. Spellings are similar, but if you will try to understand, they all are different. Basically, Muhammad Ghori is also ruling from the Ghazni, but we can't call him Muhammad of Ghazni. We will call him Muhammad Ghori of Ghazni. So Ghazni is the name of a place basically where the capital was associated. The Arab rulers had their center in the Ghazni. That's why Ghazni is important. Now he will have two battles, the battle of Tarayans. He had to fight it with the Prithviraj Chauhan. So he will get the area of Delhi after killing Prithviraj Chauhan in the battle of Tarayan. Okay, Prithviraj Chauhan. I hope you know Prithviraj Chauhan. Clear? Now, after killing Prithviraj Chauhan, the Muhammad Ghori became the ruler of Delhi, but he had to go back and make some new strategies. So for the future preparation, he wanted to prepare more and he wanted to rest the army also. So what he did, he asked his slave or the governor to take care of the Delhi area so that he can, prepare for the future victories as well. So what happened that his slave known as Kutubuddin Aibak started taking care of the area around Delhi, and he started the preparation. He started the wars also against few of the neighboring kingdoms. He was victorious. So what he was doing, that he was being a governor and taking care in behalf of Muhammad Ghori. But Muhammad Ghori, after killing Prithviraj Chauhan, when he went back, he was also killed. Okay, so when he died, the slave of Muhammad Ghori, Kutubuddin Aibak, became independent and declared himself Sultan. And that's how he started Delhi Sultanate. Fine, Delhi Sultanate was started like this. So Delhi Sultanate, when the Delhi Sultanate is going on in the North India, you need to see what was happening with the Bahmani kingdom and Vijayanagar Empire in the South India. And also you need to understand that Kutubuddin Aibak was the slave of Muhammad Ghori. That's why his dynasty is also known as the slave dynasty, because here the slaves are ruling. Okay, and then after Kutubuddin Aibak, his slave Iltutmish will rule. Okay, and then after Iltutmish, his slave will rule. So slave after slaves are ruling. But now you need to understand then why these slaves became sultan, and how come it's possible for a slave to be like a sultan. Basically, slaves were promoted, and they, people in Islam, they believe in equality, right? Equality and brotherhood. It's not about the gender equality, it's just a normal general equality among the brothers, Islamic brothers. So they used to treat their slaves very nicely, and whenever they used to see any talent or anything like a good military skill, they used to promote the slaves. So by the promotions, these slaves used to become the military commanders, sometimes the governors or iqtadars. Similar things happened with the Kutubuddin Aibak also. That's why he could start the Delhi Sultanate in India. Okay, so this is the entire flowchart which you need to remember when we talk about these important rulers. And right now we need to discuss about Muhammad Ghori. Okay, so Muhammad Ghori, as I told you, the Ghoris, they were, started as a vassals of Ghazni, means they used to rule there as a feudal lords, and then they became independent after the death of Mahmud. So Muhammad Ghori was the leader and he became the Sultan now. So when he became the Sultan, the decline of Ghaznavid Empire got started, and somehow Muizzuddin Muhammad, who is also known as Muhammad Ghori, brought the Ghazni under their control and started the directions towards India like ancestors. Here you can see from Ghazni, then Kabul, Peshawar, Multan, Lahore, Uch, Delhi, Agra, Kannauj. Okay, here just remember this part of Uch because it's important for the Mughal dynasty. I'll discuss more about the Uch area later. Okay, look at this map. I hope it's visible to you. Is it clearly visible? Yes or no? I hope I'm audible and visible. Fine. Right? Fine. Now let's talk about the conquest of Muhammad Ghori. Now when we talk about the conquest here, in the 1175, Muhammad Ghori captured the area of Multan and occupied the whole of the Sindh. Then in 1186, he attacked the Punjab. He annexed the entire part eastward to the Satluj. Okay, so the Punjab was in his control and Satluj served like a boundary. Then the Battle of Tarayan happened against Prithviraj Chauhan. There were two battles. In 1191, he was defeated, but in 1192, he got the victory. So Ghori's invasion and conquest of Punjab led to his invasions of the Chauhan kingdom, and Chauhans at that time, they were facing family disputes, you can say. So here the first battle of Tarayan, which happened near Delhi under the command of Prithviraj Chauhan, in which Ghori got defeated in 1191. But here what was the good thing, that Prithviraj Chauhan could make other Rajput rulers understand that we should all come together and fight this common enemy, and they all came together. It was a great thing that yes, they understood it. But in the second battle, due to his own family disputes and internal rebellions, Prithviraj Chauhan lost this battle, second battle of Tarayan, in 1192. Sometimes it is said that his father-in-law did not support, and he only invited the battle from the Muhammad Ghori, and that's why it happened. So it was decisive battle, and it was a major disaster for the Rajput rulers, where Prithvi Raj was captured and killed. Now, results. The first Muslim kingdom was firmly established in India, and at the Ajmer also they had their center, and a new era in the history will begin with the Islamic rule in India, which is the part of your core medieval Indian history. Just understand that here we have a important poem which was written by Chandbardai, Mat Chuko Chauhan. सुनिए आपने, जिसमें पृथ्वीराज चौहान, how he killed Muhammad Gauri, that entire narrative is described in that poem, Mat Chuko Chauhan. But that poem is not real. Just understand, the poem is realer, but the narrative which is given in the poem was just written by the Chandabardai for the praising of Prithviraj Chauhan. However, it's not the reality. Understand this, because many of the students, they get confused by watching it on the movies and Bollywood cinemas. So just understand that that was never a real thing. It was just a poem written by Chandbardai, the court poet of Prithviraj Chauhan, but it was not the reality. Basically, Prithviraj Chauhan was captured and killed. Now, aftermath, the Muhammad Gauri, he returned to the Ghazni, and he just wanted his entire territory to be taken care of by the Qutbuddin Aibak. So, his general Qutbuddin Aibak will try to have some further conquest in India, and he was victorious in doing all these things. Now, the battle of Chandawar is very important, where it was fought between Qutbuddin Aibak and Jaichand of Kannauj of the Garhwal dynasty, where Jaichand lost. And then establishment of Turkish rule started in India with the battles of Tarain and Chandawar. And then, of course, the new phase of Delhi Sultanate will be there by Qutbuddin Aibak. Now, why the Hindu kingdoms failed? What was the reason? First, lack of unity. Of course, they never came together against the common enemy. Many Hindu states were declining in power at that time. There was no central authority to govern them and control them. We had outdated military methods. We were still using elephants in India. However, the Arab rulers and invaders, when they came, they had a good cavalry. They had great horses with them. The breed of horses they had was very fine. And then Indians continued to rely on the elephants while the Muslims had a quick moving cavalry. The Muslim soldiers had better organization, and they had able leaders also. And they also had the religious zeal that they wanted to expand the Islam. And here, among the Hindus, the duty of fighting was confined to a particular class, Kshatriya only, and rest of the people, they were only, just being a mere subjects. So these Kshatriyas, they always acknowledged defensive techniques. They never planned anything to attack. They only waited for the attack to happen so that they could defend India. So this defensive nature was a problematic thing, and that's why the Delhi Sultanate got started. Now, when we talk about Delhi Sultanate, we have 5 dynasties. First is the slave dynasty, then Khalji dynasty, started by Jalauddin Khilji, and it will be led by Alauddin Khilji. Then Tughlaq dynasty, then we had Sayyids, and then Lodhis. Okay, these 5 dynasties you need to cover when you talk about Delhi Sultanate. Okay, this is the entire zone of Delhi Sultanate. Okay, the boundaries are not fixed because they used to fluctuate with time, but yes, this is the Delhi Sultanate. Here you can see. Okay, so Delhi Sultanate is the period starting from 1206 to 1526. Why 1526? Because in 1526, the first battle of Panipat will happen, where the last ruler of Delhi Sultanate was killed by the Babur, and Babur started the Mughal dynasty. Fine, but we will not cover the Mughal dynasty today. We will do Mughal dynasty and later Mughals in the next class. I today want to cover the Delhi Sultanate with you. I also want to cover the Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani Kingdom, which was here in the south. That I will do today in this session with you. Fine. So first of all, let's talk about the slave dynasty. From 1206 to 1290 AD, they ruled. Of course, Qutbuddin Aibak was the slave of Muhammad Gauri. So that's why he started and he became independent after, getting declared by the Sultan. So he was called, this dynasty basically was called Mamluk dynasty. Mamluk is a Quranic term which means slave in Islam. So Mamluk was a Quranic term for slave. So there are 3 dynasties under this slave dynasty, like subdivisions are there. Basically, as I told you, slaves are ruling after the, one ruler. So what is happening, that Qutubi dynasty was the dynasty of Qutbuddin Aibak. He came from a Qutubi family. And then the Ilbari dynasty was by the Iltutmish. He was from the Ilbari family. And then the next ruler, Balban, who is also known as the chief architect of Delhi Sultanate, will be from the Ilbari dynasty, so second Ilbari dynasty. So first is the Qutbi dynasty, which was by the Qutbuddin Aibak, 1206 to 1211. So it was not a long period of time. If you see, it's almost 4 years only. So it was just a time where he was trying to establish something. So initial establishment and foundation took all his toll. So he could not contribute in the art and cultural developments for the India, and he was just trying to make a good starting point for the Delhi Sultanate. But here Qutub Minar, it got constructed under the idea of Qutbuddin Aibak, and it was for the Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. That's why this Sufi saint, in regard of him, this new architecture got developed. But yes, it was not completed. It was later completed by Iltutmish, the next ruler, and the fifth floor was added by Firoz Shah Tughlaq of Tughlaq dynasty. Now let's talk about the Qutbi dynasty first. Qutbi dynasty founded by Qutbuddin Aibak. Okay, it was going fine. The foundation was laid, but he, while playing the horse polo, he just fell off from the horse, and that's why he died. Okay, many of the important rulers in history, they died like this. Okay, like Akbar, he died due to dysentery, like he got loose motions. We have some later Mughals, they had serious issues, and that's why they died. We had many rulers in the Delhi Sultanate also, where you will see they will just die like this. Even we will see rulers are getting out of their way from the staircase of library, and they will die, like these kind of deaths are there. However, it will never come in the exam. It's just to understand and know the history and chronology. Now after this Qutbi dynasty, Iltutmish, who was the slave of Qutbuddin Aibak, started taking care of India. He became the protector now. He also defended India against the Mongols, because at that time Mongol rulers from the China, they used to come again and again. They used to fight, and they invaded India so many times. Now the second Ilbari dynasty was by the Balban. Balban is also known as the chief architect of the Delhi Sultanate. He, for the very first time, started Diwan-e-Ariz, which is a separate department for the army. Okay, so he started taking care of the army very nicely. That's why he's important for us. Now let's talk about the first ruler, Qutbuddin Aibak, who ruled for 4 years only. This is the entire zone which he covered. You can see in the map. Fine. So here, Qutbuddin Aibak, as I told you, slave of Muhammad Ghori, appointed as the governor, then took the position. He set up the military headquarters in the Indraprastha area, which is near Delhi. After the death of Ghori in 1206, he declared his independence and became the ruler and started the slave dynasty. He assumed the title Sultan and made Lahore his capital. And the capital will be shifted from Lahore to Delhi by Iltutmish. This shifting of capital was a very common practice among the rulers. Whenever a new ruler used to come, he used to shift the capital. Why? Because he wanted new officers, new base, new spies. So that's why, to show his legitimacy, it was done again and again. So he was called the Lakh Baksh. Why? Because Qutbuddin Aibak, he was the giver of lakhs. He used to do liberal donations. That's why. And he also patronized many scholars in his court. Okay, so Aibak patronized great scholars like Hasan Nizami, and he started the construction of Qutub Minar after the famous Sufi Sant Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. So it was later completed by Iltutmish, but yes, started by Qutbuddin Aibak. Now Aibak died while playing Chaugan, which is horse polo. He fell from the horse in 1210 and then he died. He was succeeded by his son Aram Baksh, but Aram Baksh could not rule for a good amount of time, and he had to see the revolt from the Iltutmish. After 8 months, he was replaced by Iltutmish. Okay, so Aram Baksh was replaced by Iltutmish within 8 months. That's why even if you don't remember this name, no problem at all. Okay, because in GS you don't need to get into these details who ruled only for few months. Okay, maybe important in the optional, but not in the GS. So Aram Baksh, after 8 months only, got replaced by the Iltutmish. Iltutmish became the new ruler, and Iltutmish started a new thing, Chalisa, the 40 military soldiers, Turkish commander, to lead the army and to advise the ruler also. But these not sultans, but Turkish governors, Chalisas, they became very dominating after the death of Iltutmish, and they wanted to dominate in all the senses. That's why Razia Sultan was killed. by her own nobles. And it was for the very first time in the Delhi Sultanate like this, something happening like this. Now, when we talk about Iltutmish, he belonged to the Ilbari tribe. Basically, Ilbari was a tribe, as I told you. That's why his dynasty is also named as Ilbari dynasty. After him, the daughter will come, Razia Sultan. So that's why this name of dynasty is coming, because a line of rulers are there. Now, Iltutmish defeated Aram Baksh and became the Sultan. He shifted the capital from Lahore to Delhi. And then Temujin, popularly known as Genghis Khan, tried to invade India, the leader of Mongols, and he invaded Central Asia during his reign. So Mongol policy was always very barbaric and against everyone. So Iltutmish, basically at that time, he saved India. How? Because when the Central Asia was attacked, their ruler came for the shelter in India, but Iltutmish rejected the shelter. Okay, he rejected, and that's why he could save India at that time. So he saved India from the wrath of Genghis Khan. Then if we talk about his annexation, he did conquer the area of Bengal, Bihar, and he, got the area of Sindh, Multan also. So he made so many other neighboring territories under his control. He suppressed the Rajput revolts and recovered the area of Ranthambore, Jalore, Ajmer, and Gwalior. So they all are very important. After this recovery, Iltutmish, he received the Mansoor. Mansoor is what? It is a letter of recognition from the Abbasid Caliph in 1229. So this is a great victory, guys. Basically, it legitimized his position as a great ruler. He became a legal sovereign ruler of India after getting this Mansoor. Remember and write it down in your notebook also. Keep it in your notes. After this, the hereditary succession to Delhi Sultanate was initiated by him, as he nominated his daughter Razia as his successor. He patronized many scholars and a number of Sufi saints who came to India during this time, because Sufi movement was also rising in India. Basically, it never started from India, but it came and started to have a rise in the part of 11th and 12th century AD. So that's why with the rise of Sufi movement, you will see a dominating trend in the Bhakti movement also. Fine. So here he patronized each and every scholar. Contemporary scholars who added in his court were Minhajus Siraj, Tajuddin, Nizamul Mulk Muhammad Junaidi, Malik Qutubuddin Hassan, and Fakhrul Mulk Islami. He completed the construction of Qutub Minar, the tallest stone tower, which is 230 feet. 238 feet, and he also built the magnificent mosque at Ajmer, where people still go in the Ajmer Sharif and they visit this place. It's a very important area. He introduced the Arabic coinage into India, and it is still going on. Guys, we are still following it. So silver tanka, which is of 175 grams, was introduced by him. He created a new class of ruling elite, as I told you, the 40 Chalisa, the 40 leaders, military leaders, to help the ruler. Can you see these coins? I hope you can see. And it's clearly visible that how the Islamic coins and Islamic trends are coming with their art, with their scripts and their literature in India. Okay. Now what will happen? The 40 Chalisa, they are very important here. Why? Because they will become very dominating. They will try to control everything. They wanted to control Razia also. But Razia, she never used to hear anything. And she never heard these, Turkish nobles. So these Turkish nobles, they killed Razia later, because when they understood that Razia is not listening to anyone, so they just thought to, kill her and get out of her and rid out of her. And ultimately, her brother only, he became the new ruler, Nizamuddin, but he could not rule for a very long time. So a new governor, Balban, will take care of this entire part of slave dynasty. Let's understand how it is happening one by one. Now, Razia from 1236 to 1240, she ruled, and she saw a revolt from Altunia, from the Bhatinda. So when she became the ruler, she never used to follow the trends like the Islamic women and the rules and regulations laid for the Islamic women. So she used to uncovering her face and coming to the court, and she always used to lead the army. She even used to go for the hunting. So all these activities at that time looked very rebellious to the Turkish nobles, and that's why they decided to get rid of her. Let's understand how it happened. Razia, with the support of Amir of Delhi, Amir means the big landlords, seized the throne of Delhi Sultanate, because she was not getting support by the nobles, but it was already declared by Iltutmish that after me, my daughter will lead. Okay, so she had that legitimacy, but she also had to prove it by the support of amirs. So she appointed an Abyssinian slave, Yakut, as the master of royal horses. Now, Yakut was like a best friend of Razia. Okay, Yakut and Razia, they always lead, they always used to lead everything. They always used to be together. And that's why sometimes the relationship of Razia and Yakut are seen in a very bad picture with the historical point of views. When we talk about the causes for the resentment in the Turkish nobles, Razia, she discarded the female apparel and she held the court with her face unveiled, and that's why she was not liked by these nobles who had orthodox approach. She even went for hunting, led the army, and that's why she was not liked by her own nobles. So in her court, the misunderstandings were going on, and ultimately in 1240, when Altunia from Bhatinda revolted, Razia herself went to suppress this revolt. Okay, but here, she got captured, and Altunia, when she captured Razia, he also killed Yakut. So Razia had no other choice but to marry Altunia. Okay, so she decided to get married and lead the entire, part of Delhi Sultanate with the help of her husband. But Altunia and Razia, when they were coming back to the Delhi to get the throne, she was defeated and killed, and she was killed by her own nobles. Altunia was also killed. Okay, so the fall of Razia paved a new way for the ascendancy of the 40. Now these Chalisas, these 40, they thought that we are bigger than the ruler. We have more say, and we could only lead the things in the army, and we could only decide about the entire political system and administration. So now they wanted to control the administration, and to control the administration they had to select a puppet ruler, okay, a puppet sultan. So now this new system of a puppet sultan ruling with the help of these 40 nobles, chalisas, started in the Delhi Sultanate, but it got ended with the rise of Balban. Okay, Balban will end all these things. Let's see how. So basically the essence and the struggle was there for the supremacy between the sultan, and the nobles continued creating disturbances for the sultan. In 1246 Balban succeeded, and he put up the Nasiruddin Mahmud, the younger son of Iltutmish, as sultan, but later he had to lead everything, and he took over the control and became sultan himself. And then Balban, the era of Balban will start. So era of Balban is from 1246 to 1287. Somehow now he became the ruler, so he will control all the nobles. So to control them, he started some psychological battles against them. In the court, he started some strict policies, rules and regulations were laid. So Ghiyasuddin Balban is also known as Ulugh Khan, who served as a naib or a regent to the Sultan Nasiruddin Mahmud, the son of Iltutmish. For a very long time he served, but then he became Sultan. So according to Balban, the Sultan was the god shadow on earth and the recipient of divine grace. So he added this divine feature and divine ideas with the ruler. So now Sultan became like a god. So he introduced rigorous court disciplines and new customs such as prostration and kissing the Sultan's feet when he will come. So everybody will bow down and they will kiss the feet of Sultan to prove his superiority over the nobles. Okay, so he just wanted to keep nobles under the check, and that's why he was using these new rules and regulation. Jaise, if you know about Hindu epics, you must have heard the term चरणामृत, है ना, चरणामृत पीते हैं. तो चरणामृत क्या है कि चरण धोएंगे और जो पानी है उसको पी लेंगे, तो वो चरणामृत बन जाएगा. राम भरत मिलाप के जो एपिक्स हैं उसमें आपने देखा होगा, उस सीन में भी सेम चीजें दिखाई जाती है. एंड इट बिकेम अ कस्टम in the Hindu marriages also, that the charnamrit of damad was drank by the father-in-law on the day of marriage. These kind of customs and rituals got started. However, it is not being followed today, but at that time people used to do it just to show the superiority of the ruler. So here he also introduced the Persian festival of Nowruz to impress the nobles basically, and the people of his subjects basically. Why? Because in Nowruz, what they do, they decorate a table with all the expensive healthy eating items, so many fruits. They will paint everything and keep it on the table. Decorations are there. So, and liberal donations are given on this day. It's like a New Year celebration. So this Persian festival was introduced by him. He did not share power with other nobles, and Indian Muslims were not given important posts in the government. Instead, he used to give posts to the other religious leaders. He appointed spies to monitor the activities of nobles, and whenever he saw any noble going against him, he used to kill the noble, and he used to take very harsh actions. Now, when we talk about Balban, he considered nobles called the 40 or Chalisa as a threat to the monarchy, because he knew that how Razia was killed. So, he spared only the most obedient nobles and eliminated all others by fair or foul means. ठीक है, मतलब गायब कर देता था nobles को, मरवा दिया, गायब कर दिया, कहीं से उठवा लिया, like this. So he established a separate military department, Diwan-e-Aris, as I told you, which was for the very first time in India. It was to reorganize the army. So Balban took severe actions against Mewatis, and he prevented robberies, making roads safe for travel. And at that time, we saw that crimes really decreased in India. In 1279, Tughreen Khan, the governor of Bengal, revolted against Balban, and in the northwest also Mongols reappeared. So he could not fully safeguard India from the Mongol invasion, but still he was a chief architect. Then after his death, his son Prince Mahmud became the new ruler, but he was killed in the battle. Balban died in 1283. He was undoubtedly the main architect, but when he died, he had no great successor. So after 4 years of incompetent rule, Jalaluddin Khilji captured the throne, and he started the new dynasty, the Khilji dynasty, in 1290 AD. Okay, so Jalaluddin Khilji will start the new dynasty, but Jalaluddin Khilji, he was very old, but his son-in-law, Alauddin Khilji, he was very furious. So Alauddin Khilji will expand the Khilji dynasty. So the main ruler is Alauddin Khilji, but it was started by Jalaluddin. Okay, so Jalaluddin Khilji started the Khilji dynasty, the second dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. First was the slave dynasty. Clear हो गया? Slave dynasty में कोई doubt? I can see how weird kissing feet of ruler. No, it was not weird. It's not really weird. Okay, when you respect someone, or even in the love, you can do it. Yes, the recorded videos will be uploaded. Basically, this video is getting recorded also. It's a live session, but we upload it after the class. It gets uploaded automatically. You can watch it on the YouTube. And I can see one more question by ma'am, ये SSC के लिए relevant है, ये सबके लिए relevant है. What I teach is universal and is everywhere applicable in all the government exams. That's why I have followers from all the classes and exam preparation. All the types of students they follow, and they understand the classes. It's relevant for every exam wherever the GS is coming. Fine? Okay. Alauddin. Yes, Alauddin is Ranveer Singh. You can understand it in any way. Just understand what Alauddin Khilji is doing. Ranveer Singh for you. So the Khalji, 1290 to 1320. Let me just make a small revision for you. What we covered till now. It should be there in your mind. Otherwise, there's no point of repeating the facts again and again. Delhi Sultanate, we are doing 1206 to 1526. Okay. Who started it? Kutubuddin Aibak. So slave dynasty is the first dynasty. Dynasty means what? The family. Okay. So slave family will start it and they will rule, and then Khilji dynasty will come. So in the slave dynasty, we had Kutubuddin Aibak, Iltutmish, Razia Sultan, and Balban. Okay, these four rulers. After them, Khilji dynasty will be there. In Khilji, we had Jalaluddin Khilji and then Alauddin Khilji. After the death of Alauddin Khilji, his both sons were killed, and then a rebellious military commander, Ghazi Malik, he started Tughlaq dynasty. So after Ghazi Malik, it was Tughlaq dynasty was led by Ghazi Malik, and he took the title Ghiyasuddin, and Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq started it, and then we had a great ruler of the medieval Indian history, who is also known as a mad ruler. Okay, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, who became the next ruler. Then Firoz Shah Tughlaq. After the death of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, we had the Sayyid dynasty, where the last ruler was Alam Shah. He gave up everything and gave it to the Bahlul Khan Lodi, who started the Lodi dynasty. So Bahlul Khan Lodi will start it, and then Sikandar Lodi, and last ruler was Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi was killed by Babur in the first battle of Panipat. Okay, this is what you need to understand, and this sequence should be there in your mind, and it will be there with the repeated revisions. One by one we will do. So what we have covered till now, we have completed the slave dynasty. Now let's come to the Khilji dynasty, second family. Okay, first family slave dynasty finish. Okay, now the second family, the Khilji dynasty. So Khilji dynasty started as a peak of the Muslim imperialism in India. Founder of Khilji dynasty was Jalaluddin Khilji, and he was 70 years old when he became the ruler, and then his son-in-law Alauddin Khilji from 1296 to 1316 will be the next ruler. The best part about Alauddin Khilji is that he went against the Mongols. Everyone in India used to be very afraid of Mongols. They used to avoid Mongols and ignore Mongols. But Alauddin Khilji, to secure the northwestern frontier of India, he did a fortification to control the entire zone, and he also appointed a warden to control the northwestern part so that nobody could enter in India, because he knew that every time the invasions and attacks are happening from this side. Okay, so what he did a fortification and kept a warden to take care of this fortified location. Who was the warden? Ghazi Malik. So basically that Ghazi Malik only will start a rebellious approach, and then he will start his own Tughlaq dynasty. So let's understand what's the story. Alauddin Khilji, he framed regulations to control the nobles, and he wanted to control everything. So he passed 4 ordinances, you know, to counter the rebellions, so that no noble or nobody else could go against Alauddin Khilji. So he had this kind of approach. Let's understand. He confiscated the properties of nobles. This is known as a revenue policy. Why he confiscated the properties? To measure. Okay, he did a complete measurement of all the properties. किसके पास कितनी जमीन है पता चल जाएगा. So what will be the benefit? That the proper taxation would be implied. That if you have this amount of land, you need to give taxes to the government. Okay, so each and every noble, they had to give the right understanding to the government about their contracts, about their land areas, and the complete measurement was done. So it was a part of his revenue policy. Then the intelligence system was reorganized, and all the secret activities of nobles were immediately reported to the Sultan. So many spies were there, and they used to take care of all the activities. They used to report directly to the Sultan. So Alauddin Khilji controlled the nobles like this. Then the public sale of liquor and drugs was totally stopped. No liquor sale, कोई शराब दारू कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. Then social gatherings and festivities without the permission of Sultan were forbidden. So for any kind of social gathering, they had to give information to Sultan. It used to be registered, and there used to be a complete diary to maintain, and it was registered that who will be there for which gathering at what place. Okay. Now, after doing all these things, he understood that a good administration is going on. But of course, a large army was there, and he wanted to expand it more. So for the army also, he started 3 types of reforms. The first reform was to give them cash payment. Okay, cash payment to the army. Second, he did the branding of horses. Okay, means dag system for the horses. And third was the hulia system for the soldiers, like a descriptive list of the soldiers, like how they used to look, and when they got trained, from where they came. So everything about their details, their family, address, it was maintained, because sometimes what used to be there, soldiers, they got recruited in the army, they got a regular source of income. So many youngsters at that time used to join the army to get a regular source of income. Now when they joined the army, after getting the training, after everything, what they used to do, whenever a war-like situation used to happen, they used to resign. Okay, or they used to send someone else from the family to go in their place. So you trained somebody else, but in the war, some other person is coming. So what will happen to the army? The army will be defeated, right? So that's why, to curb this situation, at that time, Alauddin Khilji, he made a descriptive list of the soldiers. It is known as the huliya system. जिसका कैसा हुलिया है वो लिख देंगे और कहाँ क्या क्या है, उस हिसाब से soldier को training मिलती थी. So the same soldier will come back when the battle will begin, and in this way they used to keep a complete list. Okay, so cash payment to the army, the dag system for the horses, so that the branding will be done. हर एक horse पे, घोड़े पे दाग लगा दिया जाता था, एक mark लगा दिया जाता था कि so that it is a horse from a royal army, it should not be seen anywhere else with anyone else, otherwise it will be a punishable offense. Fine. So people, as you know, sometimes you must have seen that many of the people working in the government department, they get government quarters to live, but instead of living in the government quarters, they they keep it on rent, and to get a rental income, they keep the government area in the rental department, and then they get the money out of it, and instead of living in the government quarters, they live in the slum areas. Okay, we have seen this going on in India since a very long time. So just to curb these things, he introduced some important army reforms. Okay, so let's talk about his army reforms. Permanent standing army. Okay, and he paid them in cash, which led to the price regulation, popularly called as the market reforms. Okay, so what is the market reform? He fixed prices for everything, as he gave cash payment. So he used to keep army very happy. It was very important to keep the army happy. So nowadays you must be knowing that for the army in the government, in the Indian government, we have a system that there is one army canteen. Okay, from where they could purchase everything, their ration items, their household commodities in a very cheaper price. Okay, because it is always tax free. आर्मी की कैंटीन में देखा होगा आपने, सामान जो मिलता है बहुत सस्ता मिलता है, so that people could buy it easily coming from the army family, and it is tax free for them. That's why it's always very very cheap. उस पे कोई GST कोई टैक्स नहीं लगता है, इसलिए वो सारा सामान जो है लोगों को बहुत सस्ते रेट पे मिलता है. So why it is done? Just to keep the army in control and happy with a very small amount of income. When you give very less amount of cash, but if you try to regulate the expenses also, that they will not have a lot of expenses, then they would be able to maintain their family nicely. Okay, that's why army reform. So army reform and also the market reform was done by him. Every price was fixed, and he also introduced the dark system, branding of horses, where he prepared the huliya also for the soldiers, so that no soldier or no royal horse will be seen anywhere else. He established four separate markets in the Delhi, one for grain, another for cloth, sugar, dried fruits, butter and oil, like luxury goods. Third one was for the horses, slaves and cattle, and the fourth market was for the miscellaneous commodities. And you must be knowing that all these four markets are still existing in the Delhi. Okay, they are still there. So each market was under the control of high officer called Shahna-e-Mandi or Shahne-Mandi. ठीक है, मंडी की शान है वो, मंडी के शाह हैं. So Mandi will be taken care by that Shah. So Shahna-e-Mandi used to be the officer, and he established a separate department called Diwan-e-Riyasat under the officer called Nayab-e-Riyasat. So these departments were there to control the entire administration of all these reforms in the market and everywhere. Now the market regulations was that he used to take care of every fixed price, and whoever used to get into dishonesty, they were punished very harshly. So there was a secret agent known as Muniyas. Okay, these Muniyas, they were sent to the market areas, and they used to report the Sultan regarding the functioning of the markets, and the violation and regulations were severely punished. Means अगर आधा किलो कम कोई तोल के देगा शॉपकीपर, तो आधा किलो मांस उसकी बॉडी से निकाल लिया जाएगा. So they will cut out the half kg of muscle mass from their body if he will do any dishonesty. So this kind of regulations were there. Now Land Revenue Administration, he was the first Sultan of Delhi who ordered for the measurement of land. He, it was to collect the right amount of tax in cash, So he was collecting the taxes in order in the cash only, in order to enable the sultan to pay the soldiers in cash. तो कैश में टैक्स लेंगे तो कैश में पेमेंट करेंगे. His land revenue reforms provided a basis for the future reforms of Sher Shah Suri and Akbar also. And so many other rulers later, everybody followed the idea of Alauddin Khilji. When we talk about his military campaigns, Alauddin Khilji, he sent army 6 times against the Mongols, which was ultimately successful for India. Thousands of Mongols were killed and the northwestern frontier was fortified, and Ghazi Malik was appointed as the warden of the marches to protect this area. And this Ghazi Malik only became rebellious and started the Tughlaq dynasty after the death of Alauddin Khilji. Look at this area. This is the entire zone and this area was fortified here. So when Alauddin Khilji was ruling, this area, Chittor, is very important for us. Let's understand the idea of Chittor. He sent Nusrat Khan and Ulugh Khan to capture Gujarat in 1299. And in 1301, Alauddin marched against Ranthambore. And after 3 months, the Ranthambore area, it was seized. The Rajput women committed Jauhar, the self-immolation. And in 1303, Alauddin stormed the Chittor fort. This is Chittor fort where Raja Ratan Singh was there. So Raja Ratan Singh and his soldiers, they fought valiantly, but they submitted. And then Rajput women, including Rani Padmini or Padmavati, performed Jauhar. So the Padmavat is written by JSC, mentions this episode only. Okay, so you must have seen the movie Padmavati. Okay, so it is written by JSC. JSC, writer, he wrote Padmavat, the book about the Rani Padmini who performed Jauhar. Fine. So this was all about your Alauddin Khilji. Now, the conquest of the Deccan and the far south. Basically, when he got the area in the north, he wanted this region also. So here in the Deccan area, we had 4 important rulers. First, Yadav of Devgiri, Kakatiyas of Warangal, Hoysalas of Dwarsamudra, and Pandyas of Madurai. Okay, so Yadav, Kakatiya, Hoysala and Pandyas, they all were ruling. What you will see that Hoysala, after getting destroyed, it will come under the part of Bahmani kingdom. Okay, so before the Bahmanis, Hoysala also had the Hoysala style of temple architecture. So Hoysala style of temples are also famous because for the very first time they used stellar approach in the architect planning of the temple, and they also used to follow zigzag architecture, like while making the temple, zigzag pattern was followed. That's a very important part of Hoysala temple. Now, Yadav of Devgiri are very, very important because Ramchandra Dev submitted here. Let's see here. This is the part of Daulatabad. Here Devgiri was in this area only. Then we have Warangal here. Very important, Dwar Samudra and Madurai. These 4 areas. Okay, these 4 areas were captured by him in the south. Devgiri, also known as Daulatabad, Warangal, Dwar Samudra and Madurai. Fine. So in this area, basically Yadavs of Devgiri, they submitted, and then Pratap Rudra Dev was also defeated in the Warangal. Then Hoysala's Veer Ballal III was defeated, and then Pandyas of Madurai, Veer Pandya fled, the capital Madurai was captured and Malik Kafur seized it. So basically Malik Kafur was the slave of Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji died in 1316 after the episode of Padmavat, and then the Sultan was illiterate, but he patronized many poets in his court like Amir Khusro, Amir Hassan, and he built a famous gateway known as Alai Darwaza and constructed new capital at Siri. The successors were there, but they were not very competent. So we had Mubarak Shah and Khusro Shah. The fall of dynasty happened because Ghazi Malik, the governor of Dipalpur, killed the Sultan Khusro Shah and then ascended the throne under the new title Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq in 1320, starting the Tughlaq dynasty. So here we will start the Tughlaq dynasty now. I hope it is clear. Ending the Tughlaq dynasty, basically starting the Tughlaq dynasty and ending the Khilji dynasty. Okay, so the fallout dynasty happened by Ghazi Malik. Clear? Remember Ghazi Malik, governor of Dipalpur, he became the new ruler. So this is about now Tughlaq dynasty. So Tughlaq dynasty started from 1320 to 1414. Very important. So Tughlaq dynasty is now expanding. Okay, they will expand to the south. So Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, he started the establishment of Tughlaq dynasty. Then Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he was considered a mad ruler, but he also started many reforms and policies to expand, and he shifted the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad in the south, because he wanted to keep the center in south also, and he wanted to take care of the south. But later this idea was not right, and his policy was completely a failure. Later he introduced copper coins also, but the best and most important policy which he followed was that he did the agricultural reforms. He gave takkavi loans to the farmers, like the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. You must have seen it nowadays, it's very popular. Very similar to that he used to give to the farmers. That was a great success. And after him the Firoz Shah Tughlaq will be there. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq will add the fifth stereo on the part of Qutub Minar, and he will also repair the Qutub Minar. Okay, so let's talk about these Tughlaq rulers now. I hope the part of the dynasty related to Khilji dynasty is clear to you. Let me know if you have any doubts from the slave dynasty or Khilji dynasty. Then only I'll start the Tughlaq dynasty. Let me have some water. यहाँ तक कोई डाउट है तो बताइए. Okay, as I see no doubts are here, we can proceed with the Tughlaq dynasty now. First of all, the founder is Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, he laid the foundation from Tughlaqabad near Delhi. Tughlaqabad was, already there, and it was the area around the Delhi which was already developed by Harshvardhan. So now this Tughlaqabad near Delhi was the foundation. So now Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the next ruler, he will rule from 1325 to 1351, which is a very long period of time, right? So he is also known as Ulugh Khan, and he is said to have treacherously killed his father to get the throne. So after killing his father, Muhammad bin Tughlaq became the new ruler in 1325. And then he was very tolerant in his religious matters. He maintained diplomatic relations with all the other off countries like Egypt, China, Iran. It was a great thing about him. He introduced many liberal and beneficial reforms, but all his reforms failed. Like the first reform was transfer of capital. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he wanted Devgiri as his second capital. Devgiri is also known as Daulatabad in South India. So it was to serve as a second capital, but he was not able to do so. It was just to control the South India better, but this was a complete failure. So he renamed Devgiri to Daulatabad. This is Devgiri, which was renamed as Daulatabad. You can see in the map. This is Daulatabad. Okay, so Devgiri, making it a capital was a complete failure. Why? Because first of all, he took this decision in a harsh summer weather, summer season. And people, when they started moving, it was a very long journey. At that time, transportations were not going good, and that's why many people got died in between of that journey only. They could not shift. So it was proved as a failure because of the distance, and more than 1500 kilometers of distance was there. Many people died during the rigorous journey in the summer. After 2 years, Sultan abandoned Daulatabad and asked them to return back to the Delhi. So it was a complete loss of money, people, time and energy. Then token currency was introduced by him. Why? Because at that time silver was getting decreased, and the silver minerals were reduced in the entire world. So in China, the paper currency was introduced. So on the same picture here also, Muhammad bin Tughlaq thought that he could introduce copper coins. So in 1329, he introduced token currency, copper coins. There was a shortage of silver throughout the world in the 14th century, so he issued copper coins to have the same value of a silver tanka coins. But here he was not able to prevent the forging of the new coins. तो जो लोग हैं नकली सिक्के बनाने लग गए, forging शुरू हो गई. So forgery was there, and that's why the goldsmiths, they also began to forge the token coins on a large scale. Soon the new coin was not accepted in the market, and due to rising inflation, it became a problematic currency. So according to Barni, the heap of copper coins remained lying on the roadside in Tughlaqabad, because he asked people that when he saw people getting so poor, and their problems and situations getting worse day by day, so he promised everybody that if you want, I can give you silver tanka in return of the copper money. So people, they gave all the copper coins, they sent it to the palace in return of the silver tankas, and due to this, the heap of copper coins were remaining on the grounds. Fine. So here you can see Devgiri again, which is Daulatabad. I want you to look at few important locations here. This is Dwarasamudra. This is Calicut, very important. In this location only, we will see the arrival of Portuguese in Calicut. This is Bijapur. This is Gulbarg, Bidar, Golconda, and here you can see Ujjain, Gwalior, Kannauj, Kara, very important. Then of course your Delhi. Fine. So these are some important locations. Now let's talk about these locations more. First of all, when we talk about the taxation in Doab, it was just to increase the revenue for the government. Okay, so he thought that if I could increase the taxation on Doab, because fertility was already there, so he thought that it will be helpful for the royal treasury. But Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he never used to take decision by a prior understanding or preparation. So when he decided for this, on the same year, a drought came, and farmers, they were facing serious situations, and that's why they revolted against the Sultan. So the taxation of Doab was also a failure, and of these two experiments affected the prestige of Sultan. In order to overcome financial difficulties, he thought that increasing the land revenue will be a great thing. But the farmers of Doab, they already faced a severe famine, and that's why they were they started a revolt against Sultan. Serious peasants revolt was seen in this place. Now, to suppress this revolt and to take care of this measure, he did some agricultural reform. This was successful. It was a good thing. He launched a scheme which is known as Takkavi loan. Okay, loans for cultivation. They were given to the farmers to buy seeds and extend the cultivation. It was a great thing. He also started a department for agriculture for the very first time in Delhi Sultanate, which is Diwan-e-Kohi. It was established to take care the revenue part of the agriculture and to help the farmers. Okay, so it was a great successful thing which he did. Apart from this, all the reforms were a failure. Now, when we talk about the rebellions by the nobles and by the provincial governors, he saw many rebellions. The rebellion came from Hasan Shah, resulted in the establishment of Madurai Sultanate, and in 1336 Vijayanagar kingdom was founded. It was a great resistance in the Deccan in the South India for the Sultan. In 1347 Bahmani kingdom was also established. I will talk about these two kingdoms today. The governor of Awadh, Multan, Sindh revolted against the authority of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then Muhammad bin Tughlaq his health became very worse, and he died in 1351. And after his death, Badauni, he made a statement that the Sultan was freed from his people and the people were freed from the Sultan. मतलब लोगों को भी सुल्तान से मुक्ति मिली, सुल्तान को भी लोगों से मुक्ति मिली, because he already did so many reforms and so many of them failed that people were also irritated, and that's why they wanted to be free, and this irritation got ended only with the death of Sultan. Now, after his death, next Sultan came Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq became Sultan with the help of nobles. Remember Chalisa, the Turkish nobles. So these nobles, as they helped and supported Firoz Shah Tughlaq, so they started dominating. So every time Firoz Shah Tughlaq used to listen to the nobles, he was not doing any decision making. So policy paralysis was seen during the time of this Sultan. And also Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he was very much intolerant religiously, and that's why he always used to listen to the Muslim leaders and preachers, the qazis, and that's why he could not take any kind of liberal ideas or reforms. He could not introduce anything which was religiously liberal to anyone, but he did a lot of good things for the Islamic subjects. He started orphanage, he started good donations, free food and free marriages for the people coming from the Islamic communities. But after his death, these governors, these nobles, they could not secure this particular dynasty, and then there will be a big revolt from the internal sides. An external problem was also going on because Temur will attack India. I hope you know Temur the Great. In the Islamic world, he is a very renowned great ruler. His name is seen like a god. Okay, so Temur at that time attacked Afghanistan, and he attacked the part of northwestern India. And his Afghani governor started the new dynasty. Khizr Khan started the new dynasty in the India after the death of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So we will discuss that. Let's just talk about Firoz Shah Tughlaq and his life. So 1351, from 1351 to 1388. After the death of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, in 1351, Firoz Shah Tughlaq was chosen as the Sultan by the nobles. He appointed Khane-Jahan Makbal, a Telugu Brahmin converted as Wazir. Okay, so he was converted Brahman basically. So he became Wazir, means Prime Minister. So Khane-Jahan Makbal was taking care of everything, and he did some military campaigns. Like in Bengal, he led 2 expeditions, but they were not successful. Bengal became free from the control of Delhi Sultanate. Then in the modern Orissa, Vijayanagar, he returned with rich booty acquired from the temples. In Nagarkot, he made the rulers pay tributes, and Sultan collected 1300 Sanskrit manuscripts from Jwalamukhi temple library and got them translated into the Persian language. Very important. Then Thatta in the Sindh region was also captured by the Firoz Shah Tughlaq. If we talk about administrative reforms, he strictly followed the advice of ulemas. Ulemas are the Islamic preachers. ठीक है, जैसे पंडित होते हैं हिंदुओं में, वैसे ये इस्लामिक पंडित है. So ulemas, they used to give religious guidance to the Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He is very opposite of Akbar, because Akbar in the Mughal dynasty, he will never listen to ulema. Akbar ulema के कभी नहीं सुनते थे. But Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he always used to follow ulemas, and by taking all the kind of guidance in running in the administration, he assured the hereditary succession, and the Ikta system was revived and was made hereditary. Means the Iktadar will be the governor of Ikta, means a province, where it became a hereditary position. Okay, यहीं से वो सरकारी नौकरी वाली जो चीज है वो शुरू हुई है ना सरकारी नौकरी में. Even today in India, in so many of the posts, the preference is given to the son or a family member if the death happened during the service of the employee. I hope you know this. It happens in India. So here also you see these kind of systems were introduced. So jizya was strictly imposed on non-Muslims, and he was the first sultan to impose irrigation tax. Okay, but at the same time, he dug irrigational canals also and wells also. So just remember that he was the first sultan to impose irrigation tax. He also started the jizya tax, the religious tax on the Hindus, that if you can convert into Islam, then fine, otherwise you need to give the taxes. Fine. So the longest canal was about 200 kilometers from the Satluj to Hansi, which he made. He also developed royal factories called karkhanas, in which thousands of slaves were employed. For his royal household, he used to make different things. He built the famous city Firozabad near the Red Fort in Delhi, now called Firoz Shah Kotla. He repaired the old monuments like Jama Masjid, Qutub Minar. So he had art and cultural contributions as well. Fine. Now he created a new department called Diwane Khairat. Khairat में चीजें देता था free में. Okay, so Khairat. So here what he used to do, he used to take care of orphans and widows, free hospitals, free marriage bureaus for the poor Muslims were also established. Firoz patronized scholars like Barani and Afif in his court. He was guided by ulemas. He was intolerant toward the Shia Muslims and the Sufis and Hindus, of course. His regime had number of slaves, and the number of slaves got increased from to 1,80,000. So 1,80,000 slaves were there living in his time. Now, when we talk about the disintegration of state, it happened after his death. In 1388, the struggle for power between the Sultan and nobles got started, and the Delhi Sultanate had disintegrated. Now, pay attention, this is very important. So, what is happening? Firoz Shah Tughlaq died. Now, after his death, many provinces, they started asking for independence. Okay, so Malwa, Gujarat, and some areas in the eastern part of India also, they declared independence. Okay, as I told you, after this, in the 1398, the invasion of Timur happened. So Timur came after 10 years of the death of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Remember, 1388, Firoz Shah Tughlaq died. Look at this, 1388, Firoz Shah Tughlaq died. 1398, invasion of Timur happened in India. Okay, now after this, Timur is considered as a great hero and victorious ruler of Islam. So when Timur invaded in 1398, it gave a big blow to the Tughlaq dynasty, because the governor of Timur, Khizr Khan, will start a new dynasty in India, which is here for you, Sayyid dynasty. So Sayyid dynasty started by Khizr Khan is very important, but this dynasty was very short-lived. Why? Because the successors of Khizr Khan could not take care of it, and that's why it was devastated. So in 1414, Sayyids started ruling, 1414 to 1451. So before his departure from India, before going back, Timur appointed Khizr Khan. It is very similar to the idea of Muhammad Ghori, who appointed Qutubuddin Aibak in Delhi before going back. Okay, and then he died. So here also Timur appointed Khizr Khan as the governor of Multan. Okay, and then Khizr Khan captured Delhi and founded the Sayyid dynasty in 1414, because he saw that already Firoz Shah Tughlaq was died. He was no more. So he knew that nobody else could take care of the central administration and responsibility. So he took this advantage and then he captured Delhi. In 1421, he died. Okay, after his death, Mubarak Shah and Muhammad Shah and then Alam Shah became successors, but they were incompetent rulers. The last is your Alam Shah, who will rule for few months and then he will hand over everything to Bahlul Khan Lodi. Okay, and Bahlul Khan Lodi will start the Lodi dynasty. So in 1445 to 1451, the weakest of the Sayyid princes, Alam Shah, will be there. He handed over the throne to Bahlul Khan Lodi and retired and went to Badaयूं. ठीक है, वो बदायूं चले गए. He was like, retired, I will live my retired life. Voluntary retirement he took. So think sultans also used to do it at that time. They used to take this voluntary retirement and then they used to stay in the rest. So they started their peaceful life like this. Alam Shah, he did this, he retired and went to Badaयूं. After his retirement, who will lead? Bahlul Khan Lodi. So Bahlul Khan Lodi started the new dynasty, Lodi dynasty, last dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. Now Lodi dynasty started by Bahlul Khan Lodi is very important, because Bahlul Khan Lodi was a great emperor. Okay, and he expanded it very nicely. He consolidated the entire zone around Delhi, and after him Sikandar Lodi became the new ruler. Sikandar Lodi was also great. Okay, so both Bahlul Khan Lodi and Sikandar Lodi, they did a great job. But after them, after the death of Sikandar, Ibrahim Lodi became the new ruler. And he was very, incompetent, and also you can say a person having no sense at all. Okay, and that's why he had to face different rebellions from the internal courts, and that's why he will be defeated by Babur in the first battle of Panipat in 1526. Let's see how the journey starts. The Lodhis, they succeeded Sayyids and they were Afghans. Just understand, for the very first time you see that Afghanis are coming, Afghani Muslims ruling India. Okay, so before this we had Turki rulers and Iranian rulers. Now we are having Afghani Muslim rulers. Okay, so this is the first time when you see the Afghani line is getting started. And second great Afghani ruler will be Sher Shah Suri. Okay, Sher Shah Suri, who will defeat Humayun, and then he will capture the throne for almost 15 years. So Sur dynasty will be there. In between of the point of Mughal dynasty, there is a small chapter of Sher Shah Suri, and he was also the Afghani ruler. So now the Lodi dynasty will be there. So Bahlul Khan Lodi was the first Afghani ruler, and then his all predecessors were Turks. Like before him, all were Turki rulers. Now the Afghani ruler came. He established a very nice empire, and then he died in 1489. Then Sikandar Lodi became the new ruler. From 1489 to 1517 he ruled, and he was the greatest of the three Lodi. Okay, and he was like a sultan having a lot of strength and a lot of power. He brought the whole Bihar under his control, and he forced the rulers of Bengal also to conclude treaty with him. He extended his control over Punjab to Bihar. Roads were laid and many irrigational facilities were provided for the benefit of peasantry. He was very tolerant also. He was intolerant basically. He destroyed many Hindu temples and he imposed many restrictions on the Hindus. The best part about the Lodhis are that they made a lot of gardens, and different Lodhi tombs are there in Delhi. If you go to Delhi or if you are in Delhi, you can see different gardens and tombs made by the Lodhis. Okay. Now, after this, next ruler, Ibrahim Lodi, became the next Sultan of Delhi Sultanate. He is the last one. So, Ibrahim Lodi, now he started taking care of it. Decline of Afghan kingdom happened. Decline of Afghan kingdom is because it lasted only for 75 years. Sikandar Lodi was succeeded by his eldest son, Ibrahim Lodi. Like बिगड़े हुए बच्चे होते हैं ना, जैसे he is like a बिगड़ा हुआ बच्चा, अमीर रईस ज़्यादा. So he was very arrogant, and so many of his nobles revolted. Greatly displeased by his arrogance, Daulat Khan Lodi invited Babur. Daulat Khan Lodi was from Lahore. He invited Babur to invade India, and Babur marched against Delhi, and there he defeated and killed Ibrahim Lodi and ended the Delhi Sultanate, started the Mughal dynasty in the first battle of Panipat, 1526. So the first battle of Panipat is the starting point of the Mughal dynasty, and second battle of Panipat is also important because it will start a golden period in Mughal dynasty, because Akbar will become the ruler after the second battle of Panipat. And then in the third battle of Panipat, the Marathas were defeated by the Afghani ruler, right? So three battles, and all these three are important. One by one we will cover them all. So here the end of Delhi Sultanate happened. Ibrahim Lodi was killed. Babur became the new ruler. This is how Delhi Sultanate worked. So we have covered slave dynasty, Khilji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty, Sayyid and Lodi dynasty. I hope it is clear. Now tell me the name of rulers. Comment quickly and let's see who will give me the right comments. Let's first write in the comments, you write the name of rulers coming from the slave dynasty. Tell me, do you remember? And please follow the chronology. First is Kutubuddin Aibak, yes, and then Iltutmish, then Razia Sultan, and then Balban. Okay, then in Khilji dynasty, number 1, Jalaluddin Khilji, and then Alauddin Khilji. Then Tughlaq dynasty, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Sayyid dynasty, Khizr Khan, and then Alam Shah, the last. Only these two you need to remember. In Lodi dynasty, we had 3, Bahlul Khan Lodi, Sikandar Lodi, Ibrahim Lodi. Clear? So we have covered all the rulers of Delhi Sultanate. Now, let's talk about their administration and how the life was there in India during Delhi Sultanate. The administrative system made a powerful impact on the Indian provincial kingdom, and this is important for your mains. You can write in your notes important for mains. Mains में direct question आते हैं यहाँ से. Okay, understand. So basically the provincial kingdom and later the Mughal system of administration will evolve from here only, because the Delhi Sultanate, it was this Islamic state with its religion Islam. So sultans, they considered themselves as the representative of caliph, means khalifa. Okay, so they came like as a representative, like ruling in behalf of khalifa in India. Okay, so they included the name of caliph in the khutbah or the prayer and inscribed it on their coins also to give respect to the caliph. So you can see the level of respect given by the Indian Muslims to the caliph, and that will lead to a very important revolt in the modern Indian history, which is known as Khilafat movement. We will study it in the modern Indian history, but I just wanted to interlink it here. Khilafat movement started by the Indian Muslims against the British rule. Why? Because after the First World War, Britishers imposed harsh treaty on the Turkish Khalifa, on Turkish Sultan, and he was like a leader of all the people in the Muslim world. That's why people started Khilafat movement. And when Mahatma Gandhi joined it, he renamed the Khilafat movement to non-cooperation movement, including Hindus also, so that it will be a good point to have a unity among Hindus and Muslims again in India, which Mahatma Gandhi wanted. So to end the communal violence, he started this initiative of non-cooperation movement, which we will read in the modern Indian history. Now let's come back to the topic. As I told you, caliph, they used to represent. Fine. So Balban here, when he became the ruler, Balban from the slave dynasty, remember, he continued the practice of including the name of caliph in the khutbah and coins. Iltutmish, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, they obtained Mansoor, which is the letter of permission from the Sultan, okay, from the Khalifa. Now, the Sultan was the ultimate authority of military, legal and political activities in India, and the law of succession was followed, but it was not clear. Because if you see, Iltutmish was the slave, and Razia, she was not the son of Iltutmish, but she was the daughter. So it was never clear that who will become the new ruler after the death of Sultan. Sometimes it was the eldest son, sometimes it was the daughter, sometimes we saw the slaves being the new ruler. Okay, so all the sons had equal claims on the throne. Iltutmish even nominated his daughter as the successor. Now, nobles played an important role in the nominations or the successions, if they were to be accepted by them, all the rulers. Now, when we talk about the central government, here in the Delhi Sultanate, the Sultan was assisted by a number of departments and officials in his administration. Like the most important is the office of Nayab. Nayab, who was the most important person. He enjoyed all the powers of Sultan and exercised general control over all the departments in behalf of Sultan. Then Wazir was the next important person after the Nayab, who headed the finance department called the Diwane Wizarat. Okay, it can come directly in prelims, so please remember. Now, the military department was called Diwane Ariz. It was started by Balban and it was headed by Ariz-e Mubalik. He was responsible for recruiting the soldiers and administering the military department, because see, to maintain the entire army department is also a great job. Okay, I see a question that what's the noble? Noble means minister. Okay, noble is like a minister who will assist Sultan. Like we have cabinet minister, council of ministers today to assist PM. In the similar manner, they had ministers at that time. Okay, and these ministers or nobles had great part of lands, and they also commanded army. At that time, see, ministers also used to go in the armies also, because they were commanders, they were warriors. Fine. So here, he was not the commander-in-chief of the army, but the Sultan himself was the commander-in-chief of the army. So just understand, Wazir is not there to do anything, or the head of the Diwane Ariz, the military department will be there, but of course the military commander will be the Sultan himself. Okay, so Sultan will always go and lead the war. That's why sultans used to die. Sometimes they used to be killed in the war. Fine. The military department was first set by Balban, further improved by Alauddin Khilji, introduced the branding of horses, payment of salary in the cash. Cavalry was also given importance under Delhi Sultanate, right? We have covered this. Then if we talk about the religious affairs, Diwan-e-Risalat was there, which was headed by Chief Sadr. Then the role was to grant, and give the donations to the construction and maintenance of mosques, tombs and madrasas, not to the temples, of course, only to mosques, tombs and madrasas. Even if the ruler was tolerant, they would never give any donation to repair the temple or to make a temple. Fine. Judicial department. The head of the judicial department was Qazi, and Qazi will follow the Muslim personal law, which is known as Sharia. सुना होगा आपने? How many of you know about the Sharia law? Sharia follow होता है इस्लाम में. So Muslim personal law or Sharia was followed in all the civil matters. Now, the Hindus were governed by their own personal law and their cases were dispensed by village panchayat. So, हिंदुओं का सब कुछ पंचायत में ही हो जाता था. हिंदुओं का अपना अलग personal law था for their own cases, and Muslims had their own personal law known as Sharia. Okay, so it was followed in all the matters. Now, when we talk about the criminal law, it was based on the rules and regulations made by the Sultan for everybody. Now, the department of the correspondence known as Diwan-e-Insha was there, where all the important things and relations between officials and rulers was there. It was dealt with by this department only, where everything was connected and they all used to work together. Like we have Council of Ministers today, similar ways here also. Now, when we talk about the local administration, the entire state was divided into provinces known as Ikta. So, Ikta is a province under the Delhi Sultanate where Iqtadar will be leading it. Okay. So, they were initially under the control of the nobles. Later, they started making Iqtadars. So, Muktis and Walis were the governors of the provinces and they were to maintain law and order and collect the land revenue. When we talk about the division of provinces, Shikhs were also there under the control of Shikhdar. It is a small part of province, and then Prangans are like gram or gaon villages comprising number of villages. It was headed by Amil, okay, the Pragan. Now next is the village. It is the basic unit of administration. Village headman was there known as Mukaddam or Chaudhary. Patwari was also there, the village accountant, and they used to work with the revenue department. Next is the economy. When we talk about economy, the lands were divided into three categories. First is the Ikta land, which is assigned to the officials as the Iktadar, and instead of payment for their services, the land was given to them. Why? Because in this way, double understandings and double benefit will be there for the Sultan. Let's say Sultan is having his Iktadar or the officer for his services. Now, instead of giving him salary every month, the Sultan will give him a piece of land. That okay, this piece of land is yours. Now, you take care of this area, you take the responsibility and collect the taxes from this zone and maintain the law and order in this area. So, these Ikta lands were land assignments given to the officials as Ikta, and it was instead of the payment for their services. Okay, then next is the Khalisa land, which was direct control of the Sultan. Okay, under the direct control of Sultan, where revenue collected were spent for the maintenance of royal court and royal household. Next is the Inam land. It is the land assigned or granted to the religious leaders or for the religious institutions, like it was a donated land. So it was completely tax free. No tax was taken from here. The peasantries, they paid 1/3 of their produce as the land revenue, and sometimes even 1/2 of the produce. Half of the produce was given by the peasants as a tax. Now, when we talk about the Sultan and his efforts to enhance agriculture, Muhammad bin Tughlaq is important for us, and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. They gave irrigational facilities, they gave Takavi loan, they also encouraged farmers to cultivate superior crops like wheat instead of barley. Firoz encouraged to grow the horticulture also, like growing vegetables and fruits. Muhammad bin Tughlaq created a separate agricultural department known as Diwan-e Kohi. That's also very important. When we talk about the urbanization, it was happening because a number of cities and towns grown like Lahore, Multan, Baroch, Aniwara, Lucknowti, Daulatabad, Delhi, Jaunpur, they were very important, and Delhi remained the largest city in the east. Since the time of Iltutmish, Delhi became the center and capital of India. Trade and commerce, it witnessed growth. India exported a large number of commodities to the countries on the Persian Gulf, West Asia, and Southeast Asian countries. Now here, overseas trade was under control of Multanis and Afghani Muslims. But inland trade was dominated by Gujarati Marwadi merchants and Muslim Bohra merchants, Bohra communities of Muslims. When we talk about the construction of roads and maintenance, it was facilitated. So the transportation and communication was smooth. And for rest houses, they made sarais. Sarai are like rest houses. Like even today in Delhi, you will see some names are there like Katwaria Sarai, because it used to be a sarai, a rest house, but now it's a small, area got developed in the Delhi. Like we have Sarai Kale Khan. I don't know more than these names, but you must be knowing. You can write if you know any of these areas. Cotton, textile, and silk industries, they also flourished in this period. Sericulture was introduced on a large scale. Paper industry had grown, and there was an extensive use of paper from 14th to 15th century. Other crafts like leather making, metal crafting, carpet weaving, they also flourished, and they had increasing demand in the world market and also in the Indian market. When we talk about the coinage system under Delhi Sultanate, it developed very nicely. We had several types of silver tankas. One silver tanka was divided into 48 jitals during the Khalji rule and 50 jitals during the Tughlaq rule. Okay, it's like 1 rupee is divided into 60 paisas. Do you remember people had coins for 25 paisa, 50 paisa also, right? In my childhood, I have seen it. They were in circulation, but later it became out of circulation. Gold coins or dinars became popular during the reign of Alauddin Khilji after his South Indian conquest. The Muhammad bin Tughlaq basically he experimented token currency and also issued several type of gold. At least 25 varieties and silver coins were introduced by him. Okay. Now, when we talk about social life in the Delhi Sultanate, traditional caste system with the Brahmins and the upper strata of society was prevalent. In the Hindu society, it was all same. Position of women all same. Even it got worsened because women started having parda system now. Because when we saw Muslim women coming in India with the invaders, traders, of course, so they used to cover their body, the entire body, even the face was covered. So from that only the idea of parda system started in India. It was never in India. It was not the part of Indian culture, but it became a part of Indian culture because of the invaders and outsiders coming in our country. Okay, so the practice of sati was widely prevalent. Segregation of women and wearing of parda system became common among the upper class women. The Arab and Turks brought the parda system into India, and it became widespread among the Hindu women in the upper classes of North India. During the Sultanate period, the Muslim society remained divided into several ethnic and racial groups, and there were no intermarriages. Even today, see, in the present society, even after so much of development, in the modern times, nowadays also you see that intermarriages are still a great deal in India. Fine. So Hindu who converted from the low caste were also not given equal respect in the other religions. Fine. So these kind of social problems were there. The Muslim nobles occupied high offices, and very rarely Hindu nobles were given high positions in the government. But it was changed when Akbar became the ruler. Akbar during the Mughal dynasty. He will change this rule. The Hindus were considered zimmis. Zimmis means protected people, and they were forced to pay tax known as jizya tax, the religious tax. In the beginning, jizya was collected as a part of land tax, but Firoz Shah Tughlaq separated it from the land revenue and collected jizya separately. So sometimes Brahmins were exempted from paying the jizya, but everybody else they had to pay the jizya tax. So it may be asked in the question that when did we see the separation of jizya tax as a separate religious tax separated from the land tax? So remember, it was by the Firoz Shah Tughlaq who separated it from the land revenue. पहले जजिया लैंड रेवेन्यू के साथ ही लिया जाता था, बट बाद में अलग अलग कर दिया गया. So this is important for prelims, remember this. Okay, now when we talk about the art and architecture under Delhi Sultanate, the Turks introduced arcs, domes, lofty towers and minars for the decorations, because of course they could not use human and animal figures and sculptures. They also added colors to the building by using marbles, red and yellow stones. It was in the beginning when they converted the temples and other structures only and demolished it and made it a mosque out of it. Like the Quwwatul Islam Mosque, which is near Qutub Minar in Delhi, it was built by the same material obtained from the destroyed Hindu and Jain temples of that area. Fine. So they used the same stone, but later they began constructing the new structures from the new stones. Like Qutub Minar was founded by Aibak and completed by Iltutmish. It was dedicated to Sufi Sant Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. Then when we talk about Alauddin Khilji, he added an entrance to the Qutub Minar known as Alai Darwaza. The dome of this arc was built on scientific lines, and Alauddin Khilji wanted to make one more Qutub Minar in front of that already made Qutub Minar. He started the construction, but he could not complete it. Like if you go to Qutub Minar, if you visit the place, you will able to see one more small unconstructed structure which is there, still there, and it looks bigger than the Qutub Minar. Just the base was made, but it could not be completed by Alauddin Khilji because he died very soon. The building of Tughlaq period were constructed by combining arc and dome. They also used cheaper and easily available grey color stones. Tughlaqabad, which is a area, it was developed. The palace complex with its beautiful lake was built during the period of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq also built the tomb of Ghiyasuddin on high platform. The Kotla fort at Delhi was created by Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and Lodi garden in Delhi, they are the examples of great architectures of the Lodi. So they were doing a lot of cultural developments in the India, right? Now last is music of Delhi Sultanate. New musical instruments such as sarangi and rabab were introduced. Amir Khusro from 1252 to 1325, he was a great scholar. He introduced many new ragas such as Ghor Rag and Sanam Rag. He evolved Qawwali also. It was a new thing. So Qawwali was a new style of light music by blending the Hindu and Iranian systems. He also invented sitar, which is important. Please remember. The Indian classical work Rag Darpan was translated into Persian during the reign of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Pir Bhodan, a Sufi saint, he was one of the great musicians of this period who lived, and Raja Man Singh of Gwalior also encouraged the composition of great musical work known as Man Kautuhal. Please write it down, Man Kautuhal by Raja Man Singh of Gwalior. Clear? So these all developments were there under the Delhi Sultanate. Literature was also developed because Hasan Nizami, Minhaj Siraj, Ziauddin Barni, Sham Siraj Afif, they all were there, and Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi by Ziauddin Barni contains the history of Tughlaq dynasty. Tabakat Insari, written by Minhaj Siraj, is general history of Muslim dynasties up to 1260. It is again a very important example. Amir Khusro wrote a lot of things like so many poems and Persian poetry called the Sabaki Hind of Indian style, Khazan-ul-Futuh, which speaks about Alauddin conquest, Tughlaq Nama, which deals with the rise of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. All these are important literatures. Sanskrit and Persian languages also developed. Like we have some examples of Zia Naqshbandi. It was the first translated Sanskrit stories into Persian language. This book, Tutu Nama, or Book of the Parrot, got translated into Turkish and later into many European languages. They are all very important. If you remember, Raj Tarangini, written by Kalhana, it belonged to the period of Zianul Albini, of the ruler of Kashmir when he ruled, and many Sanskrit works on medicine, musics, they got translated. In Arabic, Al-Biruni's book, the Kitabul Hind, also became a very important work. I discussed about Chand Bardai, the famous Hindi poet of Prithviraj Chauhan. He was also there. Bengali literature also developed. Nusrat Shah patronized the translation of Mahabharata into Bengali. The Bhakti cult led the development of Gujarati and Marathi languages. And then Vijayanagar Empire, when it came, it patronized Telugu and Kannada literature also. Okay, please write it down in your notes. This is very important. Fine. So we will see rise of many regional languages during this time due to the Bhakti and Sufi movement in India. So that will be a very important part for you. But now we will discuss Vijayanagar and Bahmani kingdom. When we talk about Vijayanagar and Bahmani kingdom, we again have different dynasties. Remember, in Delhi Sultanate, we have 5 dynasties: Slave, Khilji, Sayyid, Tughlaq, Lodi. Here also we have 4 dynasty in Vijayanagar Empire. Number 1, Sangam dynasty. Sangam dynasty started the Vijayanagar Empire. It is starting from 1336 to 1672. I'll write it here for you. Okay. Then Saluwa dynasty came. It expanded it more, but the most important is Tuluwa dynasty. Okay. And then in the end, for a very short period of time, Aravidu dynasty ruled, but it's not very important. But the most important is Tuluwa dynasty for us. Okay. So now I'll start the Vijayanagar Empire with you. Look at this map, Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani Kingdom. They both used to fight. Why? Give me 2 reasons why they will fight. Look at the map and give me 2 reasons for the fight between Bahmani Kingdom and Vijayanagar Empire. Let's see who can guess me the right answer. Hari Amarnath, you're asking about the class PDF and the previous classes, videos and links of the previous classes. See, I have not given PDF yet because I was thinking to complete the ancient history first and then give you one combined PDF for the entire ancient history, one combined PDF for medieval history, and one combined PDF for modern history. Okay, so I'll upload the PDF in the Telegram group. Okay, we have a Telegram group and Telegram channel. So to join it, you just need to search on Telegram NCERT with Sunya IAS. Okay, search it. After the class, you can search NCERT with Sunya IAS. On this Telegram, you will get all the PDFs, links of all the classes, the previous classes, and other lectures which I have covered, the geography lectures, the Tamil Nadu history book, and other lectures which I have done. And if you want, you can see it in the playlist also. In this channel, Sunya IAS channel only, you go to the playlist on the YouTube. You will get all my previous videos, lectures. It is in the entire playlist, and from there you can cover. Fine. Okay. Next out is about Doab region. Doab is a region which is in between of 2 rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, Doab. Okay. Raichur Doab, which was between Tungabhadra river and Krishna river. Fine. Any other doubts? कुछ और है तो पूछ लो भाई अभी. I need to start the Vijayanagar Empire. Let's take a small 1-minute break. I'll have some water. And then I'll start the Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani Kingdom. Give me 2 reasons why they used to fight. Let's see who will give me the right answer. अरे कुछ तो बताओ भाई. Nobody is giving the answer. Why? I asked you 2 important reasons, 2 main reasons due to which the fight between Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani Kingdom used to happen. The first is the religious reason. Vijayanagar Empire was a Hindu empire. It was a Hindu kingdom. Okay, यहाँ Hindu rulers थे. Bahmani Kingdom was a Muslim kingdom. Okay, that's why they used to fight. Hindu-Muslim fight. Second is the territorial dispute because they will have the similar boundaries, so they will fight for the boundaries to expand more. For extension, they will fight. So these two reasons were there. Let's talk about the Vijayanagar Empire first. So when we talk about Vijayanagar Empire, we have different literary sources. Like we have archaeological and numismatic evidences also. For example, Amukya Malyada by Krishna Devraya. Krishna Devraya was a ruler. Okay, he wrote this. And then Madhur Vijayam by Ganga Devi. Manu Charitam, written by Allasani Pedanna. Very important, Allasani Pedanna, great scholar. So all of them, they used to write a lot about Vijayanagar Empire. When we talk about the accounts of foreign travelers, they gave valuable accounts on the socio-economic conditions of the Vijayanagar Empire and the entire zone. Like we had a Moroccan traveler known as Ibn Battuta, a Venetian traveler known as Niccolo di Conti, Persian traveler Abdur Razzaq, and Portuguese traveler Domingo Pires. Okay, so these travelers who came to India, they wanted to see the richest part of the world at that time, and Vijayanagar was considered the richest zone of the world. So to see the beauty, the richness, the the gold palaces, gold coins, flourishing economy, they used to come here and they used to write about Indian society at that time. So Vijayanagar Empire. When we talk about the copper plate inscriptions, we have Srirangam copper plates of Devraya II. Devraya II was a ruler, and it provided the genealogy and achievement of Vijayanagar rulers. The monument of Hampi are also important. They provide the information on cultural contributions of Vijayanagar rule. The numerous coins issued by the Vijayanagar rulers, they contain the figures and legends explaining the titles and achievements. Okay, so all these rulers, they did great job, and all of them, they had their proper historical chronology written. When we talk about the political history, the Vijayanagar, it was founded in 1336 by Harihar and Bukka. Okay, Harihar and Bukka, these two rulers. So Harihar and Bukka came from Sangam dynasty. And the background is that they were originally served under Kakatiya rulers of Warangal, and they went to Kampili where they were imprisoned and then they got converted into Islam, but they returned back and they wanted to have some initiative which was founded by a saint Vadrayan, and then they were got purification and they again came back to Hinduism. So they also proclaimed their independence and they founded a new city in the south bank of Tungbhadra river, which was known as Vijayanagar, means the city of victory. Okay, so now with this new city, they will start a big empire. Now, what enabled Harihar and Bukka to expand this newly founded kingdom? Remember, I discussed the Hoysala kingdom with you. Remember? So here, the decline of Hoysala kingdom, it gave a way for the expansion of this new Vijayanagar empire. So by 1346, they brought the whole of the Hoysala kingdom under their control, and the struggle between Vijayanagar and the Sultanate of Madurai also happened in the extreme south in the Madurai area. So he destroyed the Madurai Sultans and then he comprised the whole of South India up to Rameshwaram. And then it lasted for about 4 decades. It was a very long fight. And then Kumar Kampan's expedition happened in Madurai, which was described in Madhur Vijayam, which discusses the establishment of Vijayanagar dominance everywhere. Even they extended up to the part of Madurai. The conflict between Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani kingdom was first, of course, the religious reasons and also the boundary disputes. So the dispute over Raichur Doab, the region between the river Krishna and Tungbhadra, also over the fertile areas of Krishna Godavari Delta. The greatest ruler of Sangam dynasty was Devaraya II. After his death, Sangam dynasty became very, very weak. The next dynasty was Suluva dynasty, which was founded by Saluva Narasimha. From 1486 to 1509, this dynasty worked, and it was the greatest part of Vijayanagar Empire because Saluva dynasty will give more rise to this Vijayanagar Empire. So Krishna Devaraya, who ruled from 1509 to 1530, was the greatest ruler here. The Tuluva dynasty was founded by Veera Narasimha, but it was developed by Krishna Devaraya. Krishna Devaraya belonged to the Tulva dynasty and he had a great military skill. So he possessed great military ability. His first task was to check the invading Bahmani forces because Bahmanis were trying to penetrate. So the Muslim armies were decisively defeated in the Battle of Divani by Krishna Dev Raya. He also invaded the Raichur Doab, and here the confrontation happened with the Sultan of Bijapur and Ismail Adil Shah. Then Krishna Dev Raya defeated him and captured the city of Raichur in 1520. Then he also marched on the Bidar and captured the Bidar area. Odisha campaign was also there. He defeated the Gajpati ruler Pratap Rudra and also conquered the entire Telangana. After this, Krishna Dev Raya also maintained good relations with the Portuguese, because if you remember, Portuguese also came in India by that time. So Albuquerque was a Portuguese governor. Basically, we will discuss Portuguese and their governors. We had Alfonso de Albuquerque, and we had Almeida, Francisco de Almeida, and Nino de Cunha. Three governors are there. The first was Francisco de Almeida. Second was Albuquerque, Alfonso de Albuquerque, and the third is Nino de Cunha. These three governors we will cover when I'll talk about Portuguese. Like maybe after 2-3 classes, we will come to the modern Indian history. There I'll cover the Portuguese and their arrival of Europeans in India. But right now, let's just focus and come back to the topic here, relations with the Portuguese. So Albuquerque, the governor, he sent ambassador to the Krishna Dev Raya. And he was a Vaishnavit, but he respected all the religions. Who? Krishna Dev Raya. Krishna Dev Raya was a Vaishnavit. Krishna Dev Raya was a great patron of literature and art, and he is a well-known person. He was also known as Andhra Bhoja. Remember Raja Bhoj? I gave you that line of Kahan Raja Bhoj, Kahan Gangu Teli. So Raja Bhoj, the ruler of North India, is sometimes he is, Krishna Dev Raya is also considered as a Raja Bhoj, like Andhra Bhoj. So he had 8 important scholars in his court, Ashtadiggaj, 8 eminent scholars in the royal court. First is the Alasani Pedanna. I told you he is a great scholar. So Alasani Pedanna, he is also known as Andhra Kavita Pitamaga, because in Andhra area he was the best poet at that time. His important works are Manucharitam and Hari Katha Saranam. Manucharitam and Hari Katha Saranam. Other important scholars were Pingali Suranna and Tenali Ramakrishna. You must have heard these stories of Tenali Raman, right? And when we talk about the works of Krishna Dev Raya, first is Amukhya Malyada. He wrote, this work, and Sanskrit works like Jambavati Kalyanam and Usha Parinayam are some of the important works written by him. Then he repaired most of the temples in South India, also built large number of Raya Gopurams, means the entrance of the temple. He also built famous Vitthal Swami and Hazara Swami temple in the Vijayanagar. He also built a new city known as Nagalpuram. Nagalpuram was in the memory of his queen Nagala Devi. And after his death, Achyutya Dev and Venkata, they succeeded the throne. Then Ramaraya also became a ruler. Ramaraya rule is very important because the battle of Takkolam happened during his rule in 1565. Okay, so it is also known as the Battle of Rakshas Thangadi, where it is the combined forces of Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Golconda, Bidar. They all defeated Ramaraya. Okay, Ramaraya was imprisoned and executed. The city of Vijayanagar was destroyed after this battle of Talikota, and then this battle was generally considered the end of Vijayanagar Empire. But we had a small dynasty, Aravidu dynasty, where some weak successors ruled for a small period of time, but later it was completely destroyed. So important rulers of this dynasty are Thirumala, Sriranga and Venkata II. The last ruler of Vijayanagar kingdom was Sriranga III. Clear? This you should remember. The last ruler, first and last ruler hamesha yaad rakhna hai. Now, this is all about your Vijayanagar Empire. Okay, that's it. Itna hi hai. Now, when we talk about their administration, well organized, decentralized administration was there. So, the king possessed absolute authority in executive, judicial and legislative matters, and he was the highest court of appeal. The succession to the throne was on the principle of hereditary, and council of ministers assisted king. Administrative units were there for the empire. Mandalams, nadus, thalas, gramas were there. Okay, they used to take care of everything at that time. And also when we talk about the governors of mandalams, they were called Mandaleshwar or Nayak. If we talk about the sources of income to the government, the local authorities had full power in the administration. Land revenue, tributes, gifts from the vassals and feudal chiefs were collected. Customs were collected at the ports. taxes on the various professions were there. So land revenue was fixed, generally 1/6 of the produce, and other taxes and fines were there. So they got a good revenue. The royal treasury was full of wealth. Okay. Justice system, harsh punishments such as mutilation and throwing elephants were followed. The army was well organized, efficient, cavalry, infantry, artillery, elephants, everything was there. Hybrid horses were procured from the foreign traders. They used to get it from the Arab areas. So yes, they had good horses. When we talk about Nayaks and Polygars, they are very important because you will see the Polygar revolt in the modern Indian history also. So basically, these Polygars, they had hereditary rights of getting the farming done and getting the taxation collected from that area. So they had agricultural duties to do. So here, the Nayaks and Polygars, they were top grade officers of the army, and they were granted land in lieu of their services. Remember, Ikta land of Delhi Sultanate, abhi padha hai na? Ikta land of Delhi Sultanate. It is very similar to that Ikta land of Delhi Sultanate. Here also, it is like a Ikta to the Iktadar. So, instead of giving him regular salary or payment for the duties, they used to grant them land assignments. Here, these lands were called Amaram, and soldiers were usually paid in cash. When we talk about their social life, we had four castes here: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And Allasani Pedana, in his writing in Manuracharitam, he mentions this. Then we have some accounts left by foreign travelers also. They talk about the splendor of building, luxurious social life. Silk and cotton clothes were mainly used for dress, and perfumes, flowers, ornaments were used by the people of that time. And now, when we talk about peas, Domingo Peas, he mentioned the beautiful houses of the rich and the large number of their household servants. So, people used to live a very luxurious life. Niccolo Conti, one more traveler who also talked about the prevalence of slavery, he also discussed dancing, music, wrestling, gambling, cockfighting as some favorite pastime for the people. Sangam rulers were chiefly Shaivites, but other dynasties were Vaishnavites in the Vijayanagar Empire. Virupaksha was their family deity, like जो कुल देवता होते हैं Virupaksha. Sri Vaishnavism of Ramanuj was a very popular at that time, but all the kings were tolerant towards other religion. They were all taking care of everything in all art and cultural aspects as well. The Borposa referred to the religious freedom enjoyed by everyone. Muslims were also employed in the administration, and they were freely allowed to build mosque and worship. So there was no harsh problems for the Muslims at all. When we talk about women, their condition had not improved. It was all similar to the past life. So some of them were learned, like Ganga Devi, wife of Kumar Kampana, authored the famous work Madhur Vijayam. Famous poets like Hannamma, Thirumalamma. According to Nunis, a large number of women were employed in the royal palaces as dancers, domestic servants, palanquin bearers. Devdasa system was there. Polygamy was prevalent. Sati system was there. So honor killings and these things used to be there. So these problematic things used to go on, but economic condition was very nice. Agriculture continued to be the chief occupation for the people, and rulers also get a growth because of course they also used to give a lot of development for the agricultural department. New tanks were built, new dams were constructed, irrigational facilities were provided on the rivers like Tungabhadra. Nunis refers to the excavations of canal. Many canals were dug. There were numerous industries, and they were organized into guilds. They had different groups. Metal workers and other craftsmen also flourished. Diamond mines were located in Kurnool and Anantapur district. Chief gold coin was Varaha. Okay, Varaha, but the weights and measures varied from place to place. Vijayanagar was also a great center of trade, and of course, overall general prosperity was there because they had internal and overseas trade. They had important seaports in Malabar coast and Kannanur. When we talk about commercial contacts, Arabia, Persia, South Africa, Portugal, they all had contacts and trade with them. Burma, Malaya Peninsula, China in the east also used to be in the connection. The chief item was cotton and silk clothes, spices, rice, iron, saltpeter and sugar. So all these things were exported. But imports were horses, pearls, copper, corals, mercury, China silk, velvet clothes, and the art of shipbuilding also you had developed very nicely at this point of time. But the problem was that overall in India there was no central administration to take care of these activities and curb the arrival of Europeans in India, because Europeans, when they came here to trade, they had no intention to gain the territories. But when they saw that rulers are very weak and army is not disciplined at all, they took the advantage and then they became the rulers here. When we talk about the cultural contribution of Vijayanagar Empire, the chief characteristic here is the architecture and big Raya Gopurams, means the gate of the temple, that's known as the Raya Gopuram. The Kalyan Mandapam, means the assembly hall was carved out of the pillars in the temple premises. The sculptures were there on the pillars. The horse was most common animal found in these pillars. The mandapams, if we say, contained 100 pillars as well as 1000 pillars in some big temples. The most important temple of Vijayanagara is the Vitthal Swami temple, Hazara Swami temple, and Vardharaj and Ek Mandapam temple in the Kanchipuram. These are the most important temples of Vijayanagar Empire. The most important temple of this style are like in the Hampi ruins of the city of Vijayanagar. Basically, after the battle of Talikota, other kingdoms, they destroyed so many temples of the Vijayanagar Empire. Casting of metal images were also done. The metal images of Krishna Dev Raya, very important. Okay, so they were good in sculptures also, and his queen Tirupati. At the Tirupati, it is there. Music and dancing were also patronized by the rulers of Vijayanagar. Literature was also developed, like different languages, Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada, Tamil flourished. And as I told you, due to the Bhakti movement also, some regional literature will be developed. There was a great development in the Sanskrit and Telugu literature at this point of time. Literary achievements reached to its peak during the reign of Krishna Dev Raya. He himself was a scholar in Sanskrit and Telugu, and his court poet Allasani Pedanna was also a distinguished in Telugu literature. Fine. So it was all about their literature. Next is Bahmani Kingdom. So when we talk about Bahmani Kingdom, it was a Muslim kingdom and they had territorial disputes with the Vijayanagar Empire. So you can see this is the Bahmani Kingdom. So later Bahmani Kingdom got disintegrated and there were 5 sultans. So all of them combined, they were known as Deccan Sultanate, the Grand Alliance. Okay, so we will see Bahmani, Bijapur, Berar, Bidar, and Ahmednagar. These 5 areas, they got divided, and all of them, they had their own 5 respective sultans. Okay, Ahmednagar Sultan, Bijapur Sultan, Berar Sultan, Golconda, Bidar Sultan. Every sultan will be different. So who is the founder? Alauddin Bahman Shah. Okay, Alauddin Bahman Shah was also known as Hassan Gangu. In 1347, founded this Bahmani Kingdom. Bahmani Kingdom had capital in Gulbarga area, and there were a total of 14 sultans initially in this Bahmani Kingdom, and among them Alauddin Bahman Shah, Muhammad Shah I, and Firoz Shah are important sultan. See, they have similar names like Delhi Sultanate rulers, isn't it? Now, Ahmad Wali Shah, he shifted the capital from Gulbarg to Bidar, and then Muhammad Shah III was a great ruler at that time. The power of Bahmani Kingdom reached to its peak under the Muhammad Shah, but he got the advice and guidance of Mahmud Gawan. Now, this person is very important. Mahmud Gawan was the political advisor and he always used to make the strategies. He was like the Chanakya of Bahmani Kingdom. Okay, so he extended from the Arabian Sea to the Bay of Bengal on the west. He extended from the coastal areas of Bombay to the east of the Kaikanada area, mouth river of the Krishna river. Till that area they had reached and they had a great conquest, as you can see in the map. Okay, they expanded more and more. But as I told you, Mahmud Gawan, the political advisor, is very important here. So the Bahmani Kingdom reached its peak under the guidance of Persian merchant Mahmud Gawan. He was a merchant, but when he came here, he was a learned person who possessed a great knowledge and mathematical skills. So he made endowments to build a college at Bidar, which was built in the Persian style of architecture. He was a military genius. So he had successful wars against Vijayanagar, Odisha, sea pirates in Arabian Sea, and he got the conquest on Konkan, Goa, Krishna Godavari Delta. And for the administration, they appointed royal officers in each province, which aimed to increase the control of Sultan over the nobles and provinces. Most of the forts were under the control of these officers only. Now, when we talk about the decline of Bahmani kingdom, the Sultan Gavan was executed by Deccani nobles. After the execution of Mahmud Gavan, Bahmani kingdom began to decline. Okay, and then you will see that each and every area will be divided. Like you can see Ahmednagar, Bidar, this area was Gulbarg, initially the capital, Bijapur, Golconda, okay, and then Warangal is here, Daulatabad, Hampi. So all of them, they got divided. Okay, so Muhammad Shah was succeeded by weak sultans, and due to the weak successors, the decline started happening, and all the provincial governors, they declared their independence. So disintegration of Bahmani kingdom happened, and by the year 1526, which is the first battle of Panipat year, at that time the Bahmani kingdom had disintegrated into five kingdoms, five sultans: Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Berar, Golconda and Bidar, and they all were combined together known as Deccan Sultanate. So Deccan Sultanate, the Grand Alliance, means when all of them will come together. Fine. So just remember the name of the rulers of these Bijapur area. So Bijapur got disintegrated and five most important kingdoms out of it became independent. So in Ahmednagar, we had Nizam Shah, Bidar, let me write it here for you. Okay, in Bijapur we had Adil Shah, in Berar Ahmad Shah, in Golconda Qutbi Shah, and in Bidar Barid Shah. Okay, these five important rulers were there, the Deccan Sultans, who started leading the Deccan area. But later, with the rise of Mughal dynasty, they will face a lot of problematic situations. But under the rule of Shah Jahan, they had to sign some treaties. But ultimately, we all know that Aurangzeb will completely destroy this zone of Deccan Sultanate. And under the Deccan Sultanate only, the Marathas used to take care of their army. Okay, Marathas used to serve them. So when the Deccan Sultanate will be destroyed, Marathas will become independent, and after the death of Aurangzeb, they will become very powerful under the Peshwaships. Fine. So we will discuss Marathas, Mughals in the next class. As of now, I have covered the Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani Kingdom for you. This is it, and you don't need to know more than this. It will be enough for your basics, of course. And if you have any doubts from the Bahmani area or the Vijayanagar area, let me know. Otherwise, there is nothing else remaining. We have completed the entire discussion on Delhi Sultanate. Let me just check. We have completed Delhi Sultanate. Yes, we have completed Vijayanagar Empire, and we have also completed the Bahmani Kingdom. Fine. So thank you so much for coming, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope there are no doubts. But in case you have anything to discuss, please let me know. I can wait for a few minutes. Otherwise, I'll end the session here.